Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be talking about some tips for getting your learners and starting to get on the road and actually drive. So I recently got my learners and I wanted to share a couple tips with you from some things that I learned during the test taking experience, during the studying, test taking, and actually getting on the road and driving. So I have a couple tips and some things that I wanted to share with you to help you maybe when you take your test or if you are a little nervous to drive, because don't worry, I was in that same boat. I was pretty scared to actually get on the road. So if you want to kind of learn how I started to overcome that fear and how I'm driving now and some tips for when I was taking my learners, then definitely go ahead and keep on watching this video. And if you have any questions based on anything that I say, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. So I hope you enjoyed this video and let's go! And I actually have a guest that would like to say hi. Come here. She was scratching my door and she wanted to come in. Do you have any tips? Do you have any tips for new drivers on the road? Wear your seatbelts! Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to talk about is actually preparing to take your learner's test. If the state you live in has a book from the DMV, so you go to the DMV and pick up the book, I think it's pretty much free. So you just go there and you pick up the book, and the number one thing that I can tell you to do is definitely study. I know the DMVs rotate between different tests, and I have talked to other people, and some people said that they didn't even have to open the book. It was all common sense to them, but for my test, some of the questions were not in my common sense. I had no clue, and there were two parts to my test. There were 10 sign questions, and I think around like 36 or 40-ish of the common knowledge. So you had to get all 10 signs right, and you could only miss, I think, like 5, 6, or 7, I don't know, of the common knowledge. It's different, I think, for every state. So definitely find out what your state has to do with all of that. But mine, you couldn't miss any of the signs, and you could only miss a specific number of the common knowledge questions. So the first tip I can give is definitely get the book and study it. I actually took my learner's test twice, because the first time I took it, I was just using my phone and the DMV app, which did not have nearly all the information that I needed to know. So I was very confident with the app. I thought that I knew everything, and that prepared me very well for the signs, but the general knowledge, only about half of the general knowledge was on the app. So if you are planning to use the computer or something, I would definitely recommend getting the book also to make sure that you are getting the accurate information. So after I took it the first time, I passed the science part, but I didn't know some of the general knowledge questions. So I actually did get the book, and I brought that home and I highlighted a ton. I studied, I wrote some of the stuff out that I didn't know or that I missed on the first test, and then I went back in. I think it was about a month later, because I did end up going on vacation in between. So I think you have about 15 days and then you can come back in, but mine was just a little bit later. So when I went back in and took it, I did pass that time. I was very thankful that I passed. But again, it's not that embarrassing if you fail the first time. And also, I was actually a little bit glad that I got to come back in, because the first time I did not realize that they were gonna take my picture for the plastic permit thing. So I was not really prepared. And the second time, my picture still didn't turn out very well, but at least my hair was down, and I don't know. Maybe it was a little better, maybe not, I don't know. I was excited to start driving, but I had never been to a parking lot to practice yet, so I was very nervous to actually get on the road with other cars, just because it is such a big responsibility, and you have to know that. When you get on the road, it's not something that's just fun and it doesn't matter. There are people in the cars around you, and if you are not paying attention or something, you could injure or kill some of the people in those cars. So you definitely need to be ready and prepared. And so I was very nervous, and my dad took me to a parking lot and I practiced some parking and just kind of driving the car. And then I actually did end up, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks after getting my learners, I actually did start getting on the roads. I started off on small back roads, and then I switched to the highway, and then kind of worked my way up from there, getting hours as I went, because you do have to track your hours. I think, again, this kind of differentiates between states, but it's around 40 hours, I think. And some of them have to be at night and in inclement weather, so rain, snow, and then some in the sunshine during the day. And you have to get all of those hours in order to take behind the wheel and take your driver's ed. And some people take driver's ed before they get their learners, but I did not. I'm going to take that later, and I actually haven't gotten my license yet. I just have my learners. But when I get my license, if you want me to do another video similar to this, then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Some tips that I would have for you is definitely know your signs. Go over those so many times. And honestly, people freak out a lot about the signs because you can't miss any, which is very stressful. But if you study them, most of them you should know. There's not a ton of signs, and it is just basic memorization. Oh, and for both of my tests, I took them on paper. You can ask your DMV, and my DMV let me, if you don't want to take it on the computer, you can take it on paper, and I actually prefer that. I never took it on the screen thing just because that kind of freaks me out, because I could have accidentally hit the wrong thing, and you can't go back over your paper and check different things. I would go through the science part and fill in all the bubbles, and then I would go back through maybe like once or twice and make sure I filled them all in, make sure they're all correct, and do that with the other things. So I think taking it on paper definitely did kind of calm my nerves, just because I've taken a lot of paper tests, very similar to ones at school, so that was just something familiar to me, and I definitely liked that. And when you're going to the DMV, be prepared to wait. The first time I went, it took probably about 2 hours before I was able to go up, and they checked my eyes, did a little vision test, took your picture, and then got you ready to take the test. But the second time it only took probably about 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes. So it really just depends what time of day. I went later in the afternoon the second time and a little earlier the first time. It's just kind of the luck of the draw. But definitely check the hours of your DMV to make sure you go there and it's open, and you have enough time to take your test. I think they give you 30 minutes to take the test. So just for a quick wrap up, again, get the book and study the book a lot. Kind of, I don't know, spruce yourself up for your picture. I was not allowed to smile in my picture, so it's kind of a very awkward picture. But definitely spruce yourself up, and if you are allowed to smile in your picture, definitely smile. If not, just, you know, take the best picture you can. Obviously, it's a DMV photo, so it's not gonna be like a selfie or anything like that. If you don't pass the first time, you have 3 chances. Where I live, and I think where most people live, you get 3 chances to take it. But I think y'all would do great if you study, and make sure you're confident and make sure you're prepared to take the test. And then afterwards, don't feel pressured into driving straight home or getting on the road right after. If you need to practice on back roads and in parking lots before, definitely take the time to do that and prepare yourself to actually drive on the road. And then when you're driving on the road, be super careful, pay attention to all the cars around you, and listen to your parents or whoever's helping you drive. And whoever's with you has been driving longer than you, so I mean, they know what they're doing and they're trying to help you. So if they yell at you, try not to get mad, because they are just trying to help you. It kind of frustrated me a little bit when I would mess up. I don't like messing up. Like whenever I'm driving and I make too of an abrupt stop, or a car honks at me or something, I don't like that, and I get really uncomfortable, and I don't know, I just need to work on that. I guess that's like a flaw in my character. I don't like messing up a ton or whatever, but everyone is going to make mistakes, and things like that will happen. Cars will pass you, cars will honk you. Oh, don't get offended if a car passes you on the road. And honestly, if you're confident and if you take it slow, and you know, practice does make perfect. So obviously you're not going to be perfect the first couple times you're driving, but the more you drive, you will get better and better. You will still make some mistakes, but that's just life. You make mistakes and you learn from it. Alright guys, so that is everything for this video. I hope you learned a couple things, and again, if you have any further questions about something that I said, or any questions about getting your learners, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer you as best as I can. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, or if you want one more of these specifically about my license, when I get my license, give this video a thumbs up as well. So that is basically all I have. I hope you have a great day, and bye guys.